Okay, boys. For today, we will learn how to answer Biology Paper 3, Question 1 for SPM Paper 2015. Okay. Previously, we have tried 2013, which is a bit different from 2015. So let's try this question. And remember, guys, that this is a formatted paper. So kalau kita dapat jawab soalan ikut format, so you will get the marks. Okay, so that's why it's so important to score in paper 3. And if you ask me, compared to paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, paper 3 is the easiest to score. Alright. Okay, now the first step that we are supposed to do is read the question. Okay, once you read the question, find your MV, RV and CV, your manipulated, responding and constant variable. Jadi, sebelum kita mula menjawab soalan, apa-apa sekalipun, first baca soalan dan cari dulu MV, RV dan CV. Okay, sebab ini akan banyak membantu kamu as you mula menjawab, okay, for the next questions to come. So, in this question, okay, direct to the point, lepas you baca semua, you akan dapati, they're using 4 different sources of water. Okay, which is P, Q, R and S. So this is your manipulated variable. Okay, and you see the level of water pollution. When you use 4 different types of water samples, you akan dapat level of water pollution yang berbeza. So that is why the level of water pollution is your responding variable. So how are you going to mention it? So it's going to be mentioned as more polluted or less polluted. Okay, then when you come to, if you continue reading your question, you will see that you will find your constant variable here. So sometimes certain question they will have more than one constant variable. Okay, sebab satu soalan tu sometimes dia lebih daripada satu, tak semestinya kena ada satu je constant variable. But the key is you are not supposed to use a apparatus as your constant variable. You must always use your material. Okay, kita tidak boleh menggunakan radar sebagai constant variable kita, tetapi kita kena menggunakan bahan dia. So kat sini there are few. For an example, 100 cm cube water sample. Sebab untuk keempat-empat water sample kita guna 100 cm. So this is a constant variable. Or this can also be your constant variable, which is 1 cm cube methylene blue solution. Sebab kalau kita tengok kedua-dua ni, dia digunakan ke dalam keempat-empat water sample, iaitu volume yang sama dan juga volume yang blue methylene pun sama. So this is your constant variable. If possible, once you read the question, highlight your MV, RV and CV because it will help you as you answer the other questions to come. Okay, now we're going to answer the first question. Okay, in any paper 3 question 1, the first thing they will ask you is to mention or write values. That means you kena kira atau you kena tengok mungkin jisim ke masa ke whatever. So first memang kita kena kira dan kena tulis value dia. That is very important. Okay, selalunya bahagian ni dia senang. Tapi masalahnya kalau kita salah jawab, we will not get the 3 marks for this question. So if we look at dia, dalam jam randik tu dia dah tulis sana hour, minute and second. So there's 3. Okay, jam, minit dan juga saat. So kita kena just isikan untuk keempat-empat nilai tersebut. So here it will be 2 minutes and 30 second, 10 minutes and 30 second, 1 hour 30 minutes and also 2 hours. Okay, so kerja kita just tuliskan di sini. Okay, that will be your first step. Okay, the next question is observation. Okay, bila kita nak jawab observation, okay, there are 2 criteria that we must take into consideration. Okay, the first one is that we must find the highest and the lowest value. Now, if you look at the question here, location P has the lowest value, which is 2 minutes and 30 second. While kalau kita tengok pada location S, it has the highest value, which is 2 hours. So that is the first criteria, kita kena cari the highest and the lowest. Now, what is the second criteria? Second criteria, cara kita nak jawab observation tu. So, there are 3 things that you must have in your observation, which is who, highest or lowest, and how much. That means you mention the value. Now, for an example, kalau kita tengok pada observation 1, and kita tahu, okay, just say, now I'm going to take location P as the lowest. So, this is the 3 criteria. The who is the location. Okay, the highest atau lowest saya kena mention, ni adalah lowest. Then the third part, how much, is the value. So my observation would be, at location P, the time taken for decolorization of the methylene blue solution is the lowest, which is 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, Now, for the second observation would be, allocation has the time taken for decolorization of the methylene blue solution is the highest, which is 2 hours. So those are the two criteria that we must consider when we are doing observation. Okay, that's where you will get your full 3 marks. Okay. Okay, next adalah inference. Okay, bila kita nak jawab inference, same like observation, there are 3 things that we must have. Okay, we mention who, and we mention highest or lowest, and we must mention because. Sebab inference ni adalah kita nak memberitahu sebab kenapa observation yang kita mention earlier adalah sedemikian. That means your inference is giving a reason why your observation was stated previously. Okay, now kita dah tahu berdasarkan daripada observation 1 dan juga observation 2, P has the lowest value and S has the highest value. Dan kita kena fahamkan apa indikasinya. So, kalau dia lowest value, it means it is the most polluted. Okay, sebab semua oksigen telah habis digunakan. Now, if you look at location S, it has the highest time because it is the least polluted. Okay, disebabkan pencemaran yang paling kurang di lokasi S. So, my inference would be, okay, for the first one, at location P, the time taken for decolorization of the methylene blue solution is the lowest because it is the most polluted location. While for my second inference would be, at location S, the time taken for decolorization of the methylene blue solution is the highest because it is the least polluted location. So those are the 3 criteria that you must consider when you're doing your inference. Okay, the next part is untuk mengisi MV, RV dan CV dan juga the method to handle that. Okay, so initially we already got our MV, RV and CV when we were searching for it in the question. Okay, so your manipulated variable is the different type of location, okay, or you can also say as different water samples. Then your responding is the time taken for the methylene solution to decolorize, and your constant variable, either you can put it a same amount of water sample, or you can even say the methylene blue solution. Okay, so that is your MV, RV and CV. Okay, now this is the part which is a bit difficult for students, method. Okay, mentioning the MV, RV, CV shouldn't be a problem, but the method. Okay, when it comes to method, these are 3 things that we must remember. When it comes to MV, okay, we must mention all the MVs. Okay, in the first method, we already said that different type of location or water sample. So, in the method, you need to mention 4 different types of water samples are used, which is P, Q, R, S. So, you need to mention that. Okay, so that's how you do for handling the method for manipulated. Next is responding. When it comes to responding, you need to mention what is used to measure the RV. That means what is the apparatus that we are using. Okay. Now we look at responding is the time taken for the methylene solution to decolorize. So what do we use to measure time? So we use stopwatch. So using stopwatch, calculate the time taken for each sample for the methylene blue to decolorize. So we need to mention the apparatus, which is the stopwatch. Okay. And lastly, for constant variable, you need to mention what is being constant. Is it the mass? Is it the height? Is it the same type of, whatever that the question is giving. So in this part here, okay, kat sini, the constant variable is the, okay, just say this first example was same amount of water sample. So the method is use 100 cm cube for all the water samples. See, or if you say methylene blue solution, make sure you say same concentration of 0.1 blue methylene solution is used. So that is how you answer for method to handle MV, RV and CV. Okay, now is hypothesis. Okay, for hypothesis is a combination of manipulated and responding. Okay, untuk menjawab hipotesis adalah kombinasi antara pemboleh ubah dimanipulasi dan juga yang bergerak balas. So selalunya kita akan sebut dimanipulasi dulu kat depan, barulah bergerak balas di belakang. Okay, now if you look at this hypothesis, a comparative hypothesis, iaitu hipotesis jenis perbandingan. Okay, so we have to take the one which is most polluted, and we try to compare with the one which is least polluted, or vice versa. So I would say the hypothesis for this, okay, location P, which is the industrial area, is the most polluted location compared to location Q, R and S. Okay, so pencemaran yang berlaku di lokasi P, iaitu di kawasan perindustrian, adalah yang paling tinggi berbanding di lokasi Q, lokasi R dan lokasi S. So that would be the hypothesis for this experiment. Okay, next is constructing a table. Okay, untuk membina satu jadual. Okay, this question is very direct and very easy if you ask me, because they've already given you apakah kategori-kategori yang kita kena ada dalam jadual. So they've given you 3 categories. So your first is sources of water sample, which we know PQRS, time taken, which we have also calculated previously, and the level of water pollution. Jadi kita kena letak satu bahagian yang kita kena tulis 1, 2, 3, 4, di mana daripada kurang polluted to the most polluted. So if they give you only 3 categories, you buat jadual untuk 3 kategori saja. You don't have to do more, you don't have to do less. In certain questions, they will give you a formula untuk mencari contoh the rate of reaction or whatever. Kita ikut saja formula tu. Dan dalam jadual yang kita nak buat tu, tak perlu kita buat jalan kerja. Tapi kita kena ingat, if there's question that asking you for value, make sure you must maintain the same titik perpuluhan untuk ke semua bacaan tersebut. Okay, next is using a graph paper. Okay, now before we answer this graph, okay, selalunya dalam soalan biologi ni, kalau kita tengok for the last 10 years or so, there are only 3 types of graph that usually comes out. Okay, so first type we have the graph garis, or the line graph. So the line graph could be sometimes going up straight or coming down, or it could also be a bit curved. So these are the types of graphs that we have in line graph. Yang kedua adalah bar chart. Okay, bar chart di mana kita ada jarak antara setiap bar tersebut, and histogram is the opposite of that, where there is no gap between each bar. Okay, these are 3 basic graph yang boleh keluar. So we have to look at the question, what are they asking for. If it's a bar chart or a histogram, selalunya soalan tu akan bagi tahu, okay, lukiskan satu carta bar, okay, or draw a histogram. So usually it will be direct. But if it's a graph garis or line graph, usually they will not mention the bar chart or histogram. They will usually ask for the word you must look for is against, melawan. Katakan lukiskan satu graf X melawan Y. Draw graph where X against Y. So perkataan against tu, kalau kita jumpa, usually that is where we do the line graph. Okay, so if you look at this question, okay, using the graph paper, dia dah cakap dah, draw a bar chart. Okay, lukiskan carta bar. So for this question, you need to draw a bar chart that looks like this. And you must also remember, when we are using the graph paper, okay, we must fill in at least 3/4 of the graph paper. Artinya kita kena guna sekurang-kurangnya 75% daripada kertas graf tersebut. Kalau terlalu kurang, mungkin markah akan dipotong. Sebab itu adalah peraturan penggunaan kertas graf. And also ingat, bila kita nak lukis graf, tidak boleh guna pen ya, tapi hanya boleh guna pensel. Okay. Okay, next is relationship. Okay, hubungan. So kalau kita tengok soalan jenis macam ni, selalunya clue telah pun diberi dalam soalan tu sendiri. Okay, look at this. State the relationship between the time taken for the decolorization of the methylene blue solution and water sample. So inilah ada 2 ayat yang kena ada dalam jawapan, iaitu masa yang diambil untuk warna luntur dan juga dengan sampel air. So we mentioned that. So as the time taken for the decolorization of the methylene solution is less, it indicates the water sample is most polluted. Itu dia punya relationship. But adakah dengan just mention that relationship kita akan dapat 3 markah? Tidak. You need to explain your answer. Kat sini lah selalunya pelajar dia confused, but dia ingat kalau dia mention saja relationship, they'll get the 3 marks. No, you need to mention the relationship and you need to explain. Why are you saying that when the time is less, it indicates that the pollution is more? Itulah cara untuk kita mendapatkan markah penuh. So you need to mention, you need to justify that when the time taken is fast, the bacteria is actually breathing, and that shows that more bacteria is there. That is the reason why the oxygen has been used up even quickly. Okay, itu cara. Jadi yang tu tak ada format yang spesifik. Janji penjelasan tu ada 2 point tersebut. Okay, seterusnya adalah prediction, okay, which is meramal. Okay, untuk kita menjawab soalan ni, there are 2 ways of answering it, okay. So, the first way is to give an exact value. Okay, katakan jawapan ramalan kamu adalah 5 cm. So, you answer, my prediction is 5 cm. If your prediction is 7 cm, you mention 7 cm or whatever other value. Okay, the second method adalah kita memberi satu range, okay, di mana we guna perkataan more than atau less than, lebih daripada atau kurang daripada. Now, if you look at this question over here, okay, they say another water sample at location X. So, they kata predict the time taken for the color to decolorize. Okay, now if you look at location X, okay, we look at location X. Okay, this is where di mana kawasan ada banyak penggunaan fertilizer, iaitu baja. So, bila ada baja, that means kawasan sinilah yang paling banyak polluted. So, previously it was actually P when we look at the question. So, now we realize X is most polluted from all the other locations. Now, coming back to the question. So, definitely our prediction is going to be that the time taken will be kurang daripada 2 minit 30 saat because it is more polluted than P. So, if we answer using the first method, give an exact value. So, kalau kita jawab, my prediction is 2 minutes and 5 seconds or 2 minutes and 10 seconds or 2 minutes and 16 seconds. Semuanya betul because the value is less than 2 minutes and 30 seconds. If you use the second method, okay, kita nak bagi jawapan, my prediction is less than 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Pun betul because we giving them a range. Walaupun bukannya jawapan dengan nilai yang tepat, tapi kita memberikan satu range. So, kedua-dua kaedah atau dua cara kita menjawab ni diterima when it comes to prediction ataupun meramal. Okay, and also must remember, jelaskan ramalan. You need to explain. If you don't explain, you will not get your 3 marks. Okay, so you need to mention your prediction and your explanation. You kena mention kenapa kehadiran baja ni yang lebih ni so menjadikan kawasan tu paling tercemar dan masa dia paling singkat. So you need to relate that there is more bacteria and therefore they breathe, they take in more oxygen and therefore it decolorizes even faster. Okay, next we have the operational definition. Definasi secara operasi. Now, you have to remember that operational definasi bukannya definasi yang kita ambil daripada buku teks atau buku rujukan. No. It is a definition based on this particular experiment. Okay, now, there's a way to answer that. Okay, I've just simplified here. Now, operation definition ataupun definasi secara operasi. First kali di tempat kosong ni adalah apa yang ditanya oleh soalan. Okay, saya bagi contoh lain lah. Okay, katakan the question asks, what is the operational definition for photosynthesis? Apakah definisi secara operasi bagi fotosintesis? So, dia tanya pasal photosynthesis. So, my answer should start with photosynthesis. If they ask what is the definition operational for transpiration, so I must put my answer here, transpiration. Okay, that's the first part. You tulis apa yang ditanya soalan. So in this question, if you look at, they're asking, what is the definition operation bagi polluted water, air tercemar? So we would put here, air tercemar ataupun polluted water. Okay, the next part is shown by, ditunjukkan melalui. Okay, if it's a process, you say it's a process shown by. Okay, and we finish the sentence dengan RV dia kat belakang, itu responding variable dia di belakang. Okay, contoh katakanlah saya guna untuk photosynthesis tadi. So photosynthesis is a process shown by the amount of gas bubbles that is released. So dari mana saya dapat gas bubbles ni? Ialah berdasarkan eksperimen tu. Sebab kalau kita tengok definisi yang betul bagi fotosintesis adalah satu proses di mana tumbuhan membuat makanannya sendiri. So we don't use the real definition. We use the definition according to the experiment in the paper. So if you look at this question over here, so what is the definition operation for polluted water, air tercemar? So polluted water is shown by the time taken for the blue methylene solution to decolorize. Okay, so artinya air tercemar ditunjukkan melalui masa yang diambil untuk Metilin biru tu untuk warnakan. Alright, then you need to explain. Even though they didn't ask you to explain, but you must explain your definition operation. So most student lepas dia jawab je, dia biar. So that's why they don't get 3 marks. You need to justify. Okay, so you are saying that once you finish writing your definition operation, you need to explain that, saying that when there is less time, okay, taken, it means that it is more polluted due to what? The process where bacteria are taking up their oxygen. So that is how you answer your operation definition in that formatted way. Okay, lastly, the question is about classification. Okay, untuk penggelasan. Okay, now kalau kita tengok di sini, they are asking you to classify between heavy metal and non-heavy metal, iaitu antara logam berat dan juga bukan logam berat. So kita ada 6 jawapan di sana dan kita kena kelaskan. Very simple, straightforward. Okay, but we must remember that just because dia ada 6, bukan ertinya dalam dua-dua kotak tu dia kena seimbang, kena ada 3 dengan 3. Tak semestinya. Okay, sebab dia mungkin boleh 5-1, mungkin 4-2, mungkin 3-3, we don't know. So never ever set in your mind that it must be equal on both sides, not necessarily. Okay, and another thing you must know about this question is bukan dia punya classification lah berdasarkan soalan. Sometimes they'll ask you to classify between apparatus and materials, or classify between manipulated, responding and constant variable. So it depends. Tapi the most important thing is that they will tell you to classify. So that is the last part of the question, which is I. Okay, in question number 1. Okay, so that's all. I hope that this tutorial will be very helpful for you, and as you try questions, you can use this method, okay, untuk kita menjawab soalan kertas 3 bagi soalan yang pertama.